Okay. Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me okay on the microphone here. Just getting everything set back up. Thank you so much, first of all, for everyone who came by for the premiere tonight. Very exciting. This was an episode that is actually not the first time I've actually covered Phoenix Racing before. Those of you longtime viewers of the channel may recall my video Flight of the Phoenix Racing Team that I posted way back in 2009 after Keselowski's win and kind of capturing that time period between 2004 and 2009. So this was a little bit of a throwback in that sense to kind of talk about that there. But very much enjoyed working on this one, as with the rest of this series. But first of all, big thanks to James Finch for his time. I was able to get a hold of him over at Phoenix Construction. We had a nice interview when I was on my way driving to work there, and gave me some great insight, especially into 2004, which is, again, kind of the feature of this series. And also to Gabe Wood, who happens to be a Patreon supporter of mine as well. He was able to get me some inside information from one of the Phoenix Racing's crew members as well. And that's where he got the information about the chassis being referred to as easy money. And the thing about the crew members were kind of simple clothes for the Cup Series team. So big thanks to them as well. Thank you to Brian Hallman for, again, contributing a lot of his pictures that were used in the video there, both from Jeff Purvis's early career as well as some of the later years, like the Subway sponsorship that they had in 2001 with Jeff Purvis and all that. So big thanks to his support on that. And yeah, it was a really enjoyable project on that. And yes, though, for those of you who saw the video there, we do have the next video already selected, and there is already an interview completed for that episode. So that next episode will also have an interview featured in it as well. So that'll be very exciting here. So had to bring out the ugly sweater, not just for the holidays here, but of course the elephant in the room, or I guess the buffalo in the room. The Buffalo Bills are now locked up their division for the first time in 25 years. I'm not a longtime fan of the Bills there, but certainly I'd say within the last like 8 or 9 years, it certainly seemed like they've been more my team. So very excited to be able to bring this back out and celebrate that as well. Could be, it would figure that in a year as unusual as this one, that perhaps the Bills would have a good run there. So they got a good crew there, Coach McDermott and everybody there putting on a good show. So we'll see what happens as we get into the playoffs coming up here. So, really enjoyed working with this particular project. It was, I find the format for a lot of these episodes has kind of changed a little bit. My original thought was I was just going to feature 2004 exclusively, and then it was kind of from the start of the team through 2004, and then just end there, and then maybe later on talk about the later part of the teams. And now, of course, you see in this video, it's really the whole team's experience. And that's probably going to be the approach for these next few episodes here as we go forward on that. And so that'll be a lot of fun. And this next one here is certainly going to be one I think that actually there's a lot of content that I myself have collected over the years for this particular one. And I'm going to try to kind of weave that in there as well. And very excited to do that. But it looks like it's probably, in terms of release schedule, it's probably going to be about one episode a month. I haven't kind of figured that out. I think with this particular one, it took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to, but it still got done this month. I don't know what it's going to look like once the NASCAR season starts up again, but that's something maybe I'll shoot for here. But series isn't planning on ending anytime soon. We got plenty of episodes coming up and plenty of teams to certainly talk about here at the same time. So that's going to be real exciting. So also at the same time, again, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and everyone to out there. And it's getting quite cold out here. I had to scrape some ice off the old windshield of the last mobile this morning. So it's been, it's definitely turned to winter over here at the headquarters. And hope you all are staying safe out there, having a good time and everything. And I appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with me here this evening. Didn't want to do this on Christmas Eve. I think that was a little too close to that. You spend that, of course, with your families and everything, but definitely wanted to see if I could get something close to a Christmas special, I suppose. And that's basically what the approach was for this. So again, thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll do a little bit of trivia here. We'll probably do a little bit of a shorter show here tonight. in terms of live streams. But certainly, if you have any questions on any of the other news stories that have developed since our Arnold Motorsports live stream, I guess was our last one last month, we can certainly talk about that. Beast of Metal, thank you so much for the super chat here. A cent for every 10 subscribers, plus another 9 for the car number in this episode. Also, count yourself lucky that, unlike the Sabres, the only ugly thing about the 2012s is that sweater. Well, very well said. And yes, thank you so much again, first of all, for the super chat, and also for the shout out there for sure. Yes, completely forgot. After just, what was it, just yesterday, finally crossed the threshold and reached 10,000 subscribers here on this channel. So big thanks again to all of you out there who have followed this channel. It's been a long road since 2006, where I was just posting videos from Sears Point as a fan, then later going into the starting grids, and then the last car period, and kind of doing all series. This series right now is just the latest in all kinds of stuff that's been on the channel. And I've still only really kind of focused on this channel more than the others. I know I've done the other one with the live stream channel, the separate one that I started after the Ryan Newman accident, that I still haven't really focused that much on. So everything is pretty much here, and you get a little bit of everything on this channel, but couldn't have done it without you guys, of course. I mean, you know, your support and your subscriptions and everything. Really appreciate it. Also really appreciate, we've had a few new members join the Patreon in the last month here. So big thanks to all of you as well. We added those names on there. I think we just had one actually just after I posted the video. So I got another name to add to the side of the car for the next episode that comes out in January. So a lot of exciting things this year. You know, it's been as crazy of a year as one can imagine. I'm certainly not the first to say that, but I certainly hope that during all this, that I'm able to provide some entertainment for you guys and some other content, and I certainly plan on doing some more next year. One other thing I guess I can mention, I probably mentioned this already in the Arnold Motorsports show. I don't remember if that news broke out. Since the Fontana race in February was canceled, most likely our at-track schedule is going to start at Sonoma in June, or Sears Point rather. That is probably going to be the first race that we're going to do in person. We're also looking again at, of course, Phoenix for next year's finale. We're beyond that in the schedule. We're kind of up in the air as to what we're going to do. We're probably going to do Texas in the summer, maybe for the All-Star race. That is very much up in the air, but really kind of looking at more towards a summer to fall schedule next year. But for whatever the race is, the next one we do, everybody that's been a member of the Patreon since our Fontana trip last year, which seems like 8 years ago at this point, anybody that's joined the Patreon, even if you just joined for a month or a day or anything like that, your name's going to be on the magnet, and you'll be entered in the drawing to potentially win that magnet after that trip. Least we can do, given the fact that our schedule has changed so much and seems to just be continuing to change during all of this. That's something we'll definitely be looking ahead to in the days and weeks ahead. So that'll be very exciting as well once we get to that point. And in between, we're going to just keep doing these episodes. I have kind of a vague format of an episode list for future episodes here. We'll see how things go. I'm basically just announcing them one at a time through each episode, and that's pretty much going to stay the same too. I think the way that they fit together, maybe one way or another to feature them that way. That's kind of the interesting thing. I didn't count on Brett Bodine featuring so much into all these different teams. Even when I did the initial research on this, when I was going to make it a book, it didn't seem like Brett Bodine came up that much. But now that I've been kind of organizing these scripts and kind of fleshing them out more, it seems like it's like every single one. I'm wondering how it's going to come up in the next episode here. So I'm sure there's going to be some kind of way for it. I guess it's just, 5 degrees of separation or whatever that gets you to Brett Bodine and NASCAR, the Kevin Bacon of the sport, I suppose. So that'll be really exciting, and we'll find out certainly how that turns out. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Finding out anything else we can work with on this. Just checking on here. Any other questions on this? I guess we've had a couple of team announcements here. I just saw a glimpse of the Noah Gragson thing for next year at Daytona, so that'll be interesting. The Daytona 500 entry list will be one way or the other. If we get as many cars as possible. I remember when 45 cars in 2004 was a short field, and you only had 2 cars sent home. Nowadays, if it's going to be 40-car field still, It's going to have sending 5 guys home. It just feels so much more bizarre. But that's going to be something else to certainly talk about going forward here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some trivia here in the meantime. But again, if you have any other questions or anything else you'd like to talk about in the meantime, or any other questions about the episode you just saw, certainly go ahead and drop them in the comments there. And yeah, we'll probably do this till maybe top of the hour here and do a little bit of trivia here along the way. So brought back out the old Trivial Pursuit thing, and the batteries still seem to be working, knock wood. So we'll just keep going with that and see what we can do here in the meantime. Alrighty, so first of all, let's go back to the categories again. Looks like it was still on tracks the last time we did this. And let me go back here. Okay, so once again, for those of you both new and old to hear, we're going to go ahead and do the categories here. NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Those are your categories. Go ahead and pick it in the comments. Mention which category you'd like us to start with here. NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Also, shout out over to Black Flags Matter for this week. The entertaining discussion the other week. My mentions got blown up here a couple days ago. Where people were talking about, I guess, OG YouTube users from back in 2006 or so. And kudos to the guys mentioning me there. I certainly wasn't the only one back then. I know there were. I showed the very bottom of my favorites list, for example, and Adam SC3 was his crash compilation is still like the first video I favorited on YouTube, and even all the other videos that have been like deleted or anything like that were even after that. So it still shows that way on my list. TBKs, dubs, Tyler Heads, and stuff like that. Lots of crazy content back then, but it really shows like how much this platform has changed. I wouldn't even thought about doing, streams or something like this. I guess back in 2006 when I was literally recording videos off my computer screen with a digital camera, and then trying to crank up the volume on my speakers and stuff to get the audio as close as possible. Audio issues are not anything new to this channel. That goes back all the way to the origins here. So we're still trying to figure out different things to make things sound a little bit better, a little bit more professional, but we'll get there one of these days. If it takes 12 years, if it takes 15 years, who knows? But we're taking one step at a time, and you guys are certainly helpful on that. Alrighty. Let's see. I see several picks for drivers here back at the categories here, so we'll probably go ahead and do that. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and hang on. There we go. Let's get that. We'll go ahead and jump over to drivers for the category here. Okay, first driver question of the evening. Who was second in points in 1996 until he failed to qualify for the Purelator 500? Qualifying question. Here we go. Who was second in points in 1996 until he failed to qualify for the Purelator 500? Don't look it up. Go ahead and just try to guess it there. Who was second in points in 1996 until he failed to qualify for the Purelator 500. Doesn't give you the track name, just gives you the race name here. Also, for the holidays here, in the meantime, brought out some more Red Dew, but this is indeed the Merry Mashup flavor, which is a combination of cherry pomegranate, what was it? Pomegranate cranberry, and I guess, red number 5, I would assume. So, cheers. We got that out for tonight. All right. Surprisingly hard to find. I tried to get another bottle of that on the way home from work, but they didn't seem to have it everywhere, so I guess it's been more popular than I would have expected. Yeah, I found one Sprite cranberry, and I couldn't find that one. I still can't meme very well, so I guess that's my failing on that one. Blue Cup, you're all over it. All righty. Who was second in points in 1996 until he failed to qualify for the Purelator 500? And the answer is Jeff Burton. Jeff Burton. I thought it was Dale Jarrett. That was going to be my first guess. I thought Jarrett was had some qualifying issues, but I guess he didn't miss a race. Jeff Burton. A lot of you got that. Glenn 7000. I think you were the first one on that one. Jared Jackson Ferrans. There you go. Zane Hussein. No Tires, Just Gas. Dusty DeBoer. Beast of Metal. Crewman Experience. There you go. Excellent. Yes, that's right. I didn't even think about that, Andrew. Yeah, the fact that Mountain Dew apparently isn't coming back as a Hendrick sponsor next year. It seems like Pepsi, especially Pepsi during the Jeff Gordon era, it's hard to imagine, the fact that Jeff Gordon was originally in the Coke family of drivers, at least for a brief time, because he became so recognizable with Pepsi and Britney Spears and all that other stuff in the late '90s that make me sound even older than I am. But that was really a big part of it. The fact that they're basically, it sounds like that relationship hasn't been re-upped for next year. It's certainly the end of an era. We talk a lot about the end of an era with drivers and teams. We certainly saw that last year, not just with Jimmy Johnson's retirement and Clint Boyer's, but also the closing of Levine Family Racing and Germain Racing. But the end of a sponsor relationship can really be big news as well. It's easily forgotten just how closely tied fans are with the sponsors and how some drivers are just completely inseparable from it. And certainly Pepsi, the PepsiCo brand, and their work with Hendrick, it's sad to see anything like that end. Hopefully they find something else that's going to work well for them, especially after Chase Elliott won the championship. You wouldn't imagine that would be too difficult. But, we'll see what happens on that. Zach Bumgarner, thank you so much for the super chat here. If you can, look up the cast of Uncle Sam 1996. You might find someone you recognize. Uncle is the title Uncle Sam 1996, or are we talking a movie from that? Let me look that up. There we go. We did that question right. Okay, there we go. 1996. Okay. Oh, this here. I got to get to the point where I can get like another screen in the background, or get the get OBS working on this. That's been a constant struggle on that. Let's see, Christopher Ogden. Not seeing it on the first page here. Is this a? Are we looking at a Stan Barrett project here? Like maybe a time where Stanton Barrett was working as a stuntman? That would be interesting to see. Certainly, he came up in a movie. We were watching a movie just last week, and his name popped up. I forgot which movie it was, but obviously, yep, there it is. Stanton Barrett as Cleats. There it is. Right on. Called it. That's perfect. Yeah, see again, if you have like a driver with a long IMDb page, it's a unique personality. He will more than likely show up in a future episode of this series. You may have already seen him in the opening of the episodes here, the past. That's going to be a little bit further down the road. And another thing I'll kind of tease here at the same time, there's a reason that we're talking about these particular field fillers from 2004 to start this series off. That will be revealed a few episodes down the line as well. So that'll be an exciting little thing that we got in store for you there on that. But of course, 2004 is again going to be the big focus. A number of different teams to cover in that. And we'll just see how things kind of play out from there once we have exhausted that supply, which will take a little bit of a time, but it'll be an exciting journey to get there. And I hope you'll certainly be following along as we get there. So we'll get through the next question here. We'll stick with drivers here. What was the only race Rusty Wallace won in 1997? Don't look it up. What was the only race Rusty Wallace won in 1997? It's kind of worded vaguely. You can say track or the race or whatever. Excuse me, the sponsor or anything like that. Whatever works best on that. But we can certainly do that. All righty, we got a couple guesses for Richmond already. We got ones from Martinsville. We got one for Roger Rabbit. We got all kinds of guesses here, all kinds. What was the only race Rusty Wallace won in 1997? Got one for Phoenix, one for Richmond, another Bristol, the Goodies 500, Casgrala Place. Definitely a short track. All righty, and the answer is... It went with the name of the race, the Pontiac Excitement 400, which of course would be Richmond. So anybody that got Richmond, you got that one for sure. The Pontiac Excitement 400. There's a name that I miss. I mean, obviously the brand's not around anymore, so that's a key reason. But that was always a cool name to hear. Like, I mean, that's why I put that in my why 1990s NASCAR was awesome video, because the way Bob Jenkins says it is just perfect. Like it just nails it, and a little bit of spectacle to it. A lot of the race names these days, it seems like they just get either ignored or just not said that much. So that'd be another one. Alrighty. Next one. Here we go. This is appropriate for the time of the year. Who won the 1990 Christmas 400K in Melbourne, Australia? Don't look it up. Don't look it up. I'll read it again. Who won the 1990 Christmas 400K in Melbourne, Australia? There we go. Holiday question. You got the ugly sweater going. We got a holiday question. Yeah, this is an actual 1990. The 1990 Christmas 400K in Melbourne, Australia. I am just as surprised as you, and I do not know. Look at all these guesses. We got Kyle Petty, Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd, Blue Cup. Why can't I look it up? I'm a free man. Well, that's true. Free cup. So, free refill, I suppose. Dale Sr., Langley, Dick Trickle, Dale, Rusty Wallace. Ooh. Yeah, there you go. Beast of Metal, thank you again for the super chat here. Blame the Aztec and possibly Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston for Pontiac's demise, or don't. I'm open to alternative theories. Well, I'm willing to blame anybody at this point because I always liked, when I was a kid, I really liked the way the Pontiac Grand Prix looked. I loved like Richard Petty's car and Michael Waltrip's car and Kyle Petty's car. So many drivers had just the most gorgeous paint schemes. And I didn't care how fast they were or how competitive they were. They just looked great, especially in that time period between about 1991 and 1995. That was like the golden years there. And okay, maybe in that time, other than Rusty Wallace's 10-win season, they probably only had a handful of wins. I guess just Kyle Petty's wins, and that's about it. But yeah, just great cars back then. Love those back then. So that would be my daily driver some of these days. Like Last Bro gives me a hard time about that because he's like, oh, those aren't very good cars, but I just like the way they look. I always thought those were cool. Alrighty. I'll read this question again here. Who won the 1990 Christmas 400K in Melbourne, Australia? This is a weird one. We'll find out here. The answer is Terry Labonte. Would not have guessed that at all. Terry Labonte. My goodness. I didn't realize, first of all, that they did the Australian races that late. I heard about the ones that Neil Bonnet won, and participated in that, and these other competitors, but I wouldn't have guessed Terry Labonte. Yeah. Did anybody guess that? I'm not sure if anybody else did. Cal Petty, Earnhardt, Shepard. Yeah, Langley, Schrader, Wallace. I mean, all good guesses. Yeah, Texas T. How about that? I mean, that guy's had a heck of a career. I mean, given how long he raced and everything, and to win in Australia, that's international races are I think a fun thing. I remember, I guess NASCAR just recently reposted the one of the Suzuka races here, so that's good to see. But maybe they'll get a better copy of the Thunderdome races there as well. Yeah, I did. Yeah, the Christmas 400K won by Terry Labonte. So Terry Labonte won Christmas. So as if it was ever a doubt there. I guess he would run the. Well, it was 1990, so he wasn't in the 5 car yet, but maybe Richard Jackson's car at that point. All right, see if we get some other good ones here. Okay, here we go. Next question. What Winston Cup driver had won the 24 Hours of Daytona 4 times by 1997? Read it again. What Winston Cup driver had won the 24 Hours of Daytona 4 times by 1997? There you go. Let's see here. Welcome aboard, everyone. Those of you who are just coming by here, doing a little bit of trivia here until about top of the hour. We're in the drivers category. We're on our, I believe, our 3rd question here. Reading it again. What Winston Cup driver had won the 24 Hours of Daytona 4 times by 1997? All righty. And we got guesses from Mark Martin, Scott Pruitt, Wally Dallenbach, Bill France Jr., Earnhardt, Dallenbach, Pruitt, Wallace, Dallenbach, Martin, Andretti, E. Somebody said E. Cotton Eye Joe. I was just listening to that this afternoon. You're probably, were you listening into my my in-car audio? I was literally just playing that on the way to work today. I don't know what compelled me to, but I guess it reminded you of it as well. Remember, this thing was made in the late 90s, so of course, if it's talking about by 1997, that would explain that, but it may give a different answer today versus in the past. Okay, so one more time. What Winston Cup driver had won the 24 Hours of Daytona 4 times by 1997? And the answer is Wally Dallenbach. Good old Wally. Underappreciated broadcaster too. I thought he just said it how it was. He was just like Paul Tracy at IndyCar. I think that he did a great job with that. So there you go. Also enjoyed seeing him do so well with Petty Enterprises and Bud Moore at Sears Point 94 and 96. That was a lot of fun. Wally Dallenbach is the correct answer. All right. Let's get to the next question here. Here we go. Next question. It's also a sports car question. What Winston Cup driver had won the 12 Hours of Sebring 3 times by 1997? What Winston Cup driver had won the 12 Hours of Sebring 3 times by 1997? Yeah, Wally's World. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, there we go. What Winston Cup driver had won the 12 Hours of Sebring 3 times by 1997? Yep. Is it also Dallenbach? I don't know. Ariana Grande? I don't know. Bill Elliott, Tommy Kendall, AJ Foyt, Robbie. Just going to run back Dallenbach for this question. Yeah, it seems like it could be a trick again. The fact that these questions are back to back here. So we'll find out. And the answer is Wally Dallenbach. It is Wally Dallenbach again. Whoop, I'm not sure you can see that very well. There you go. Wally Dallenbach is indeed the correct answer. Alrighty. Is the answer to this next question Wally Dallenbach? I guess that would be the next question here. But the next question is, what track? Well, I guess not. What track gave Richard Petty his NASCAR Winston Cup victory number 100? What track gave Richard Petty his NASCAR Winston Cup victory number 100? Not quite the question you would expect. So we're looking for a name of a track, even though this is driver's category. What track gave Richard Petty his NASCAR Winston Cup victory number 100? Do not look it up. Go ahead and guess there. Airbase Speedway, Daytona. Lakewood, Bowman Gray, Nashville, Michigan, Daytona. Several guesses. Going to need some more cranberry pomegranate to get through this solution. That's not bad. It's still inferior to Code Red, but it's not bad. And still don't have a sponsor on these live streams yet, but that's always a possibility. I could present that just right. So we'll see. Label out. Well, assuming I did, probably didn't. Okay. What track gave Richard Petty his NASCAR Winston Cup victory number 100? Want a Mountain Dew cranberry? Yeah, somebody would really pound down the door for that. There you go. Underappreciated meme for sure. What track gave Richard Petty his NASCAR Winston Cup victory number 100? And the answer is Winston-Salem. Apparently Bowman Gray, I suppose. Winston-Salem is the correct answer. Or if you said Bowman Gray, I would count that as well. Mike Tate, looks like you got it. Nathaniel Ivey, looks like you got it first. There you go. Yeah, not as talked about, of course, as a 200th victory, but yeah. Said Head 2, what does Code Red taste like? It's cherry. It's very good. Yeah, Code Red's very good. That is my go-to for race day, and we'll be restocking on that come February. That is the case, especially if we're gonna have 5 races in 6 days or something. That's gonna be nuts, but we'll see. So that'll be the plan going forward. All right, next question for the drivers category. Who became the first 3-time NASCAR Winston Cup champ? Who became the first 3-time NASCAR Winston Cup champ? Oh no, tires just gas. You're asking me why I have train videos. Why indeed? Grew up enjoying trains. Not near to the extent as a lot of the people I see on YouTube that have they know what the initials and stuff stand for, but the Amtrak station, my old hometown back in Antioch, had a beautiful park. You could hang out there and just watch the trains go by, and it was fun to kind of record them when they go by because it was just a straight enough stretch that any freight trains that we had come rolling through there, they would just fly through there. It would be nuts. So when I got a new camera, one of the first things I did to test it out was going down there and filming that. So that's where you see a few of those clips there at the very, very, very bottom of this page. So if you want to see something completely different from some of the other content we have on here, we have those as well. Alrighty. Who became the first three-time NASCAR Winston Cup champ? And the answer is indeed Lee Petty. Lee Petty is the correct answer. I think a lot of you got that one. It looked like Lee Petty is like Nathaniel Ivey. You were first on the button there. Will Purbaugh, you're asking me about how far you think the Bills go to the playoffs. Man, I hope they all the way. You always hope they go all the way. And I know everybody talks about those 4 Super Bowl losses in a row, but to me, again, especially, I'll tell you what really the best way to answer that. What kind of pulled me towards the Bills, I grew up a Raider fan because I lived near the Oakland Coliseum. Parents met at a Raider game. I figured that was kind of, I like the blue collar aspect of the team. I don't like that they left for Las Vegas. That was pretty much the death blow of that. But even before that, about 2011, 2012, I saw the Missing Rings documentary that talked about the 1990 Bills, and beautiful production. NFL Films, they really know what they're doing. They could make anything seem completely epic. But the way that they captured those 4 championship losses, then of course 4 Falls of Buffalo they did later on 30 for 30 is very good too. But I'm still kind of lean more towards the America's Game episode, the Missing Rings one, because that was really well done. And context of Lascar, I was like, man, this sounds like my kind of team. Just persistence. You just keep going out there and just doing the best you can. It is now a bit of a rivalry between myself and Lastbro. Lastbro says the Vikings are going to be the ones that are going to win their first Super Bowl first. I still think it's going to be the Bills. So far this year, it's looking like it's more the Buffalo's direction, although it's been his direction before too. We don't talk about Blair Walsh too much in this house, that's for sure. So not to make this all football chat, but that would be the other half of it. That's one thing I like about NASCAR too, being able to talk about basically when NASCAR season wraps up, you're basically just about in the playoff stretch there for football. So it kind of fills the gap pretty well. Although I haven't watched as many live games this year, I'll probably, now that the Bills locked up their division, I'll probably be watching more of the playoffs, certainly once we get to that point. So that'll be something to see. Let's see. I did get my picture taken in front of New Era Field when we went to Washington. Had to go by the stadium for sure. So, and then I got this sweater a couple years ago too. So that was perfect. Let's see. Watched NASCAR 2020 Under Pressure, Andrew Yu. No, I don't think I've seen that yet. Who produced that? That'd be pretty good. Yes, Stephon Diggs, very impressed with him. Well, of course, that's the other thing that makes the rivalry interesting. Of course, Stephon Diggs did the Minneapolis Miracle. Still mind-blowing ending to that game. We were at a sports bar when that happened, and he was so happy there. So I'm glad to have him now because he's still very impressive athlete, very impressed with what he does. I know he's got a little bit of an attitude and stuff, but usually that comes with the territory. You think of like a Darrell Waltrip or something like that. It's like, hey, it's not bragging if you could back it up. So good to see him gel with the team and everything. So that's certainly been an asset there. So we'll see what happens. All righty. Next question here. How many of Rusty Wallace's first 47 wins were at Daytona and Talladega? How many of Rusty Wallace's first 47 wins were at Daytona and Talladega? That is our next question. I see the NHL grid for next season. I don't really follow hockey that much. I tried getting into it, but that never really grabbed me. The Browns, yeah. I mean, that game, that was a heartbreaker, that one they had against the Ravens. It really looked like they were going to pull that one off, so that was too bad. Alrighty. How many of Rusty Wallace's first 47 wins were at Daytona and Talladega? And the answer is, and it looks like pretty much all of you got it, the answer is indeed 0. None. Rusty Wallace was terrible at the super speedways. Almost as bad as Ricky Rudd there, but a little bit worse. Just, even Mark Martin won the Talladega in 97. So it's weird how that all shakes out. Let's see. Oh, I saw another question on here. Where was that? Jack Garland, you're asking me which Winston Cup championship point battle is your favorite? Oh, the full season one, absolutely. No, I'm firmly in the camp of the full season. I was thinking about earlier, Matt Kenseth's run and how impressive it was, and the fact that he finished last in the last race, still won the championship because he clinched it a week before. I mean, that just happens sometimes. It's become in vogue to describe like all of those previous seasons before 2004 and saying that all of them were boring. But that's just not true. You watch Slapshoe's video on the Mark Martin apology tour. Highly recommended, by the way. The 2002 battle came down to just the wire. It seemed like nobody wanted to be the point leader that entire year. Sterling Marlin was so good. And then Tony Stewart was good, and Jimmy Johnson was good, and Mark Martin was good. And then all of them just had all kinds of problems down the stretch. And it comes down to Stewart and Martin, and I think it was like 38 points. It was extremely close. Great battle 2 years before the chase. But, people don't want to talk about that one. I remember Ricky Rudd trying to track down Jeff Gordon in 2001. I really do think the current point system, without the stages, I'm still not 100% sold on the stages. I think that kind of distracts a bit from getting the best finish you can and working something out there. I think the current points structure where that each position is a point makes it a lot easier. I think the problem was that didn't come in until 2011 after all these other generations of the chase before it. So we have a whole infrastructure built up around it that maybe isn't as helpful as just making the point system easier to understand, but it's now kind of gotten lost in making the playoffs more complicated. So that's kind of where I stand on that. So I think a full season championship with the current 1 point per position thing, and I think they should bring back points for leading laps and leading the most laps, because that makes things interesting too. Because then you get a situation like Alan Kowicki and Bill Elliott in 1992, and you get situations every once in a while like Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. But even then, leading laps wasn't really as much of a factor as just straight up winning the race. So that was kind of the situation there. All right. Next question. Oh, okay. I know it's getting close to the top of the hour. We'll do a couple more questions here. What was Jeff Gordon's car number in his first full NASCAR Busch Series year? I didn't see that one coming. Busch Series question. What was Jeff Gordon's car number in his first full NASCAR Busch Series year? Don't look it up. Go ahead and try to guess. All right. Will Purbaugh, saw your comment on the video on NFL QBs in late 90s and early 2000s. That's a little outside expertise. I'm much more a recreational NFL fan. About the same thing with my experience in baseball, too. I don't have near the background in that I do with NASCAR, so I'm not sure if I'd be able to do it sounds like that would be an interesting video, but I don't know if I'm not sure if I could really do that justice for sure. Have I seen Driven? Oh, yes. I've definitely done a video on that. I may do a commentary track on that for the Patreon as well. That's another thing I'll mention here in the same time, if you don't mind me plugging this. The interview I did with James Finch from Cover to Cover was about 25 minutes. As you can see, not really all of it was used in the video, but the full interview is in my Patreon, and anybody at the $10 level will be able to see that video in there. So that's part of the $10 level on that. I know it's a little weird to have that behind a paywall when you have the other video made publicly, but I really got to make sure that I beef up the content for the $10 level, because if they're doing $10 a month to follow this channel, I really want to make sure they get as much content as possible. So if you're interested in that, even if you're interested in that for just like a one-time thing and then you want to cancel right after, that's fine. I totally get that. But that's where that video is going to be. As a matter of fact, I think I just had it set to premiere right after the video started tonight. So if you want to hear more of the James Finch interview, it is about 25 minutes long. A lot of it was used in the video. A fair amount of it was, but there are a couple other questions and other discussions we had about it that will show up in that one. So it'll definitely be interesting. If you're interested in that, that's certainly available in the Patreon as well. Oh, Will Purbaugh, the influx of NFL QBs in NASCAR in the 90s, 2000s. Okay, well, that's more my speed. I think NASCAR Man did something on that already. I think he did an article or something on that already, because he was talking a bit about the Marino Motorsports and Brett Favre and some of these other ones. By the way, he's really been doing a great job on Twitter lately. when he brought back the thread about rock racing, about Hermie Sadler and Dwayne The Rock Johnson getting into a team. Really entertaining. If you're not following him on Twitter already, you absolutely should be, because he did great articles, and he's doing a good job transitioning that both into his Twitter as well as his YouTube channel. And I'm not just saying that just because I narrate his videos, including recorded just this week. Yeah, he definitely does. Let's see. Is Ricky Rudd Hall of Fame worthy? Yes, if only because of that Martinsville race in 1998. And the answer, Jeff Gordon's car number in his first full Busch Series season. Again, the car number was 1, indeed. It was indeed number 1. Looks like most of you got that one. Nathaniel Ivey guessing E. That would have been pretty awesome. That would have been extreme. E for extreme. James Stenger, I think you were the first one to get that one. So there you go. Yeah, it's very good. I mean, I was very fortunate. I didn't count on it at the time when I did the interview. It was just kind of where it worked into my own schedule. But yeah, I interviewed him right before the Snowball Derby. So I wanted to make sure I pretty much just left in that whole quote where he was talking about his son, Jake Finch, who's also on Twitter as well. And I didn't realize that they had a new Phoenix Racing account for really their short track program for Phoenix Racing. So the Phoenix Racing's still there. Their old Twitter account is Phoenix Racing 51. That has their Cup Series thing right up to when H. Scott bought them. And now they have, I think it's Phoenix 51 Racing is the current Phoenix Racing Twitter account. Those links are in the description for the YouTube video as well. You can see that those Twitter handles are in there. So it'll be there. That's another one too. Big thanks to Startin Park Car as well for his interview with James Finch and Mark Reno about 2004 at Rockingham. That was kind of my starting point with that. He did an interview with both of them back in April. Didn't interview Mark Reno for my video, but it was very interesting seeing that article that he did. And then when I talked to James Finch, the story was a little bit different, if you notice from the video. So that's why I kind of put both of those in there. So what was going on with that? It's interesting. I think maybe Startin Parks was more Mark Reno's perspective of it, with the crew leaving Ruttman's car and coming to pit road. And then when I talked to James Finch, it was more like, well, he was, didn't know where the pit crew was. Probably the concession stand or something. So that was interesting. But juxtaposing those together, you pretty much got the story from all of that. Adam Limeries, yep. How about the Buffalo Bills? Absolutely. And Merry Christmas to you as well. Oh, my goodness. Yes, the Stanley Smith thread was very good from NASCAR Man. Dusty DeBoer, you're correct on that. I thought of doing a video on that, but I think NASCAR Man, he nailed that already. He did a good job with that. And I certainly put in the tribute there briefly at the end of the Ruttman, the Phoenix Racing video. I'd be remiss not to bring him up. For those of you who've read my JD book, I actually bring up Stanley a little bit at the end, because one of the team photographers that was a supporter of JD was there when Smith had his accident. And so there's some overlap in that one as well. So he does get mentioned a bit in that one. But yes, certainly condolences to the family of Stanley Smith. These underdog drivers and teams, and really a guy that, his legacy still is around today because he brought Interstate Batteries into NASCAR. He had the first real major NASCAR sponsorship for that brand. And in my opinion, really a better paint scheme than a lot of the Joe Gibbs ones. I think if they, Gibbs would be, it would behoove them to do a throwback of the 49 car on Kyle Busch's car. And I think that would be a really cool tie-in for Throwback Weekend, especially since Throwback Weekend is going to be a lot earlier this next year, apparently, if it's going to be during the May weekend. That would be really cool to see. I think that would be a nice tip of the hat. I know it's very similar in some ways, the Dale Jarrett scheme from 1993, but it's different in some other ways, not just the car number, but also on a Buick, it just looked awesome too. So that's a good one too, for sure. Alrighty. So we'll do a couple more questions here, then we'll wrap up for the evening here. How many races did David Pearson win in his NASCAR Winston Cup career? Okay. How many races did David Pearson win in his NASCAR Winston Cup career? Jack Garland asking about the sheet metal videos NASCAR Man does. Yes, I'm with you on that too. I think that's a very interesting series he's developed. And I think I'm very interested in the comments section there. It seems like everybody has suggestions about certain chassis to talk about. I know his notifications been getting blown up on that too. So I anticipate there's going to be something with that. I'll leave it to him to discuss more about that series. That's his baby over there. I do know that the script that I recorded for him was on a different subject. So the next video that I'm working with on him on that, he'll give you more information when that gets further along. But I do think it's going to be a very interesting subject as well. So he's still making content, and I'm still working on my stuff here. And I think it's going to be a very exciting year as both of us continue to build our brands on that. And hopefully that tide lifts both boats because it's been an exciting year getting those developed as well. So look forward to that. Yeah, they should keep throwback weekend in September. I'm with you on that. I mean, I really enjoyed it in 2017, 2019. I'm still kicking myself. I didn't go to that cafeteria in Darlington either time. And I also didn't go to the infield. There's like an infield like party where they have these guys that all dress up in uniform shirts, like classic uniforms and NASCAR uniforms. And I had my classic NASCAR uniform, and I had some extra time because of the rain delay, and I just didn't go. I just didn't go over there. I don't know why I didn't. I was just sensory overload. I was doing this, doing that, and all that, and I don't know. But I should have done that. But because those guys look like they have a good time. But I guess if nothing else, give me a reason to do it again, maybe one of these days. So that'll be something to see there for sure. Let's see. How many races did David Pearson win his NASCAR Winston Cup career? 105. Yes, indeed. Everybody looks like you got that one for sure. 105 is indeed the correct one. See if we can end on a little bit of a harder question here. Let's see. Oh, this one's not bad. This one's not bad. I'm not sure if this will be the one I'll end on, but pretty close to it. How many poles did Bobby Allison win in 1972? His record number for 1 year. Don't look it up. Just go ahead and guess. We're looking for a number. How many poles did Bobby Allison win in 1972? His record number for 1 year. Yeah, this is okay. Maybe this isn't a bad one. Jared Jackson for ons. What are my expectations for 2311 racing? I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. And I think from a marketing standpoint, it's going to be fun. And I hope what I think is most positive, and even NASCAR Man also pointed this out, I think it was him when he did this. He posted the old Michael Jordan, Larry Bird commercials from McDonald's. I think with these particular brands that have now signed on, that they've sold out, I guess, all their primary sponsors, DoorDash, McDonald's, and all that. I'm hoping that they'll follow through with what Slapshoe suggested in his spam video, that the sponsors and these teams are going to take a more active role in using their sponsors and getting more creative with their advertising again. I think if 2311 Racing leads the way in doing that, that would be extremely helpful. And then any successes they have in their performance is just a bonus on top of it. Think about Bill Elliott's time in the McDonald's car, for example, and the fact that was not the most successful time in his career, that the driver, even he wasn't happy about it, and that he, getting back to Evernham was what got his career back on track. But that was a huge marketing thing during that time. There were so many commercials, the drive-through crew and all that other stuff, the Thunder Bat and all that. I mean, all those promotions then. I hope that we have something like that with Bubba Wallace's effort there. And I think that would be exciting there. So I expect at least that. Performance-wise, that's going to be the real question. My concern is that they're very much in a similar situation to Hall of Fame racing with Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach in 2006 or Elliott Marino Motorsports in 1998. I think it's a very steep learning curve, no matter who you are and what your influence is and everything. I think it's a very difficult challenge, even though they have a Toyota backing, even though Denny Hamlin's involved, and even though Michael Jordan is extremely protective of his brand, and rightfully so, and I'm sure is going to demand excellence out of this program right from the start, it's going to take a lot. I think it's going to be very challenging. Now, watch, I'll say this, and then maybe they go out and win the Daytona 500, and it's like, well, okay, that was easy. But I think it's challenging, even in the charter era or anything else. We've seen so many teams rise and fall over the years in any business model. And I certainly wish them the best of luck, just like I do with the Trackhouse team, with Daniel Suarez, just like BJ McLeod and Matt Tiff's team, just like any of these other programs are springing up. I guess Motorsports Business Management is still going to do a couple cars. Any of them. It's dog eat dog out there, and who knows what's going to happen. But that's kind of my yeah, my thinking with that. I mean, we'll see what happens, and but I think it's exciting. I think from a market, I hope that they follow through with the same marketing that Michael Jordan has been known for from so many years in his career, whether it's the sneakers or McDonald's or any of these other brands that he tied in with. That's going to be interesting. So it'll be exciting. And shoot, the merch I'm sure is going to be pretty awesome looking. Imagine, I mean, if the first, I mean, if the sneakers website is so notorious for running out of the new Jordans every time, I mean, just imagine. It's gonna be interesting to see how they perform when they do the first style that's like designed after like Bubba Wallace's car. That's going to be real interesting to see. So that'll be cool. We'll find out though. But yeah, Jumpman's team is going to be interesting. But I do think it's going to be difficult. But I think they're going to be ones certainly to watch with the rest of them here. Let me get back to the question here. How many poles did Bobby Allison win? His record number for 1 year, and the answer is 12. 12 is the correct answer. Who got that? I see a couple people got it. It looks like Charles Peterson Jr. Looks like you were first to that one. Daniel Sanchez as well. There you go. And ooh, not quite Blake Thiemann, but very close. There we go. If Bubba gets a top 5, he'll do a day of DoorDash deliveries in the Track City. Well, there we go. I like that. That'd be pretty hip. Yeah, see, something like that. Just do something like that. Oh, Adam Lemarie's. I'm not going to answer that question, but I mean, we're fingers crossed. Just go Bills. Find out. All righty. So I'm going to do one more question here. I'm going to see if I can get a good. Question to wrap up on here. All right. No, not that one. Let me try this. That one's not bad. No, not that one. That's too easy. Okay. Here we go. One more question. Confirmation 07. You lose a point. The question here is, what does Bobby Labonte claim he'd be if he weren't racing cars? I don't think we've had this one. We may have had this question about a different driver, but I'll go ahead and ask this one. What does Bobby Labonte claim he'd be if he weren't racing cars? That is our next question. Is it Hypesion? I see. You got the accent aigu there. Are many episodes to go for Rise of the Field Pillars? The answer is yes. There are many more episodes to go. I don't know how many more, but the way I have it broken down now, I'm not planning on ending it anytime soon. So, knock wood. That's the plan on that. So we'll have some more on that. Alrighty. What does Bobby Labonte claim he'd be if he weren't racing cars? Last question for the evening. We got several guesses. Garbage man, football player, Texas history teacher, plumber, teacher, mechanic, fabricator, senator, rancher, professional surfer, bull rider, football player, country singer. He'll play video game. Teacher. Plumber, teacher. Okay, we're seeing some similarities here. We're seeing some similar answers. Let's see what else we get here. We'll get through this here. Last question for the evening. What does Bobby Labonte claim he'd be if he weren't racing cars? That is indeed the last question for the evening. Everybody give up. We got Jolly Rancher, sanitation engineer, Walmart door greeter. I'm seeing a lot for plumber and teacher and country singer, so that seems to be a long way. Alrighty, here we go. Last question for the evening. The answer is airplane pilot. Airplane pilot. He did flip his car in Talladega that one time in 2001. Airplane pilot is your correct answer. I thought that would have been like Rusty Wallace's answer. But there you go. Yeah, sanitation engineer. Yeah, not quite. So there you go. Yeah, airplane. I wouldn't have guessed that. But you never know. I mean, a lot of these drivers, they seem to really enjoy flying. And that's certainly, I guess, the case with him. I usually think of Rusty Wallace in that context because they always did those old jet or just flying a private plane. But that's the fun part there. So without further ado, again, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And I don't know when our next show is going to be. Maybe at the beginning of next year. If it is that case, Certainly, first of all, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you all out there. I know it's been a difficult year, but I certainly hope that you're having the very best holidays out there. I really appreciate your guys' support this year, as unpredictable as they've been. We kind of turned things much more towards the YouTube direction this year when our track schedule got kind of shuffled off like everybody else's. It's been a kind of a year of a lot of changes at the same time. We sold the old Nascar headquarters. We're still in the process of kind of transitioning from one place to the next there. Started a new job this year. Good people there that I work with now, and really working on just kind of keeping the sites and keeping everything developed from here on in. And so, again, I hope that in some way we'll be able to bring a little bit more excitement there, whether it's following the last place battles on Twitter or following these field fillers this series. It's been certainly something I've enjoyed this year and looking to do much more of that in 2021. My goodness, 2021 sounded like it was so long ago, not long ago there. So have a great weekend, everyone. And we'll do some more live streams over the off season. We'll talk about some more news as things come in there. But in the meantime, have a very happy holidays, and we'll pick up from there in the meantime. And more field fillers are absolutely on the way. So, folks.